Yo, what's good? What's great? What's great? This is your man Al Nuke. Right now, you watching Dirty Glove Bastard. You know what I mean? Fix your face.
Fill up a safe, I'm more realer than y'all. Fuck my new case, I'm more realer than y'all. Expired a case, I'm more realer than y'all. Sleep with the.
First off, I want to thank you for being here. How you doing?
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, man. Big shout out. I'm a big fan of Dirty Glove.
Shout out. All right. So we're here to talk about your new movie, Birds of a Feather 2, a sequel to the movie you put out 6 years ago.
Definitely.
All right. And for those who didn't see the film, Birds of a Feather, can you briefly explain what the story was about, and did you guys write it yourself?
Birds of a Feather was totally wrote by myself. Birds of a Feather is about Zaytoven, a producer in Atlanta who was looking for a big break. He got it from a street dude. Once he got the break, the street dude came back and wanted vengeance. He wanted his publishing. He wanted a lot of the royalties out of the record. So Zaytoven was in the fight of his life after he got successful. And I originally wrote it on the strength of just showing how artists get manipulated and you know, getting into situations that they necessarily didn't want to be into. And you know, it's a lot of price that come with fame.
Is it inspired by true events?
Not really. Some is. And the first one had some elements that was true, but the majority of it was actually, you know, just being creative.
Right. So you wasn't no Trump with no snakes in them?
No. It never got to that extent.
Nah. Right. Who were some of the actors involved, and how did you get them involved?
Part 1 or 2?
Part 1 and 2.
Part 1 was a blessing because we were able to break a lot of new talent that was coming into the game, like RIP my little brother Bankroll Fresh. That was his first real film. Tiffany Fox, even my man Scooter, you know what I mean? Young Scooter, that was his first film, you know what I mean? So we pride ourselves in breaking talent when it comes to that. As far as with the new movie, we did the same thing. Birds of a Feather Part 2, we brought in my brother Trouble. This is like his first feature. He did extremely well in it. Kash Doll from Detroit, that's my sister. I'm from Detroit. She came in, killed the game. Of course, we got the vets in there like Juiceman and Ralph and people like that. So yeah, it was exciting.
What made you guys decide you want to do a full movie in the first place?
Well, you know, I'm from Detroit, so a lot of people don't know. This is maybe Birds of a Feather Part 2 is maybe my 6th, 7th feature. You know, coming out of Detroit, I've been doing movies. When I came down here with Zay, and I was managing him when I first came to Atlanta, we were just trying to figure out ways to market him and getting to a point to where, you know, he was bankable, you know what I mean? And we were just riding one day and he was like, bro, you do movies, why you ain't did a movie in Atlanta yet? And I'm like, yo, cause I'm trying to help you with this and that. And then how me and Zay be creative is we argue about a lot of stuff and then we'll figure it out. So we argued maybe for like 2 days about me just doing a movie. And it started off, we were gonna do a short. So it was like, well, Birds of a Feather, let's just do a short and see how it works. And it was like a 15, 20-minute piece. But as we started shooting, we was like, yo, this is developing into a real story. So I went to Detroit and got some money from a partner of mine, Paul Boulevard. And he gave me the money to finish the feature. And we just, you know, we just went ahead and finished it and it became a classic.
What has been some of your biggest obstacles breaking into the film industry?
Distribution, to be honest. What really is, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
What's really is fucked up is, okay? What's really is terrible is the fact that being a film director, and even an artist to an extent, being a creative person, how can I say this? The main part is you develop content for your people, right? You develop this content for your people. But the thing about what movies is I develop this content for my people and I want to take it direct to my people. But the problem is I can't get it direct to my people in the masses without dealing with corporate. Now with corporate, you have 2 stages of corporate. You got the people that says, the main people that say, we'll put your movie out, you know what I mean? But you got to run it through these other white folks and through these other corporate people first. And those other corporate people charges $10,000, $20,000 to make you pass QC, quality control, you know, for blues and whites and all of this stuff. So you got to spend all of this money with this first set of people just to get it to the main set of corporate people, right? And they don't give you no money to the main set of people because why? It's because your demo don't buy movies. They bootleg movies and watch movies, but they don't buy movies. So this big company is not gonna give you no money for your movie. So now you gotta give it to them just to get it to your demo. You see what I'm saying? So now I had to go through 2 different people's hands. I had to pay all of this one company, and then I get robbed by this company just to give it to you. So that's like the main uphill battle with movies, man. It's not necessarily the production, it's not necessarily the writing, the editing, because I love all that stuff. It's just getting the political part with the distribution, like I say, even with this one. And I learn something every time. Something new happens every time, even with the new one. You know, we decided to go with a whole different route with distribution on Birds of a Feather too.
All right. How does it compare to the music industry?
Almost the same, man. Almost the same. The thing about all of this entertainment shit is when you're not hot, nobody's looking for you. When you hot, everybody's fighting to get you, but they're only trying to get you to rob you, to sum it up.
So what did you learn from Birds of a Feather 1 that you incorporated into Birds of a Feather 2? Like, what did you learn? Like, any mishap that you learned from the first movie that you applied to the second film?
Well, we put out one after Birds of a Feather 1. We put out another one called Finesse. Big shout out to everybody that played in Finesse. I got to get out a shout out. It's one of my favorite personal films that I did. It's a comedy, star Amigos. Man, everybody's in that joint too. You know what I mean? What I learned in Atlanta, I'll tell you what I learned in Atlanta, making movies versus in Detroit. The celebrities will do you a favor in getting your film, but they're not going to be on time. They're not going to give you 2 days. They're not going to repost and hell of a market your shit, but they will come in and give you that 1 day to kind of help you out. So I think in like part 1, we were looking for artists to stay on set, artists to really work hard and this, that, and the other. But niggas in Atlanta is like, listen, bro, if it ain't real checking in the beginning, I might bless you, but don't milk it. You see what I'm saying? So I had to learn that element of it because in part 1, again, guys was coming and working 1 or 2 days. And even shout out to like my brother Shorty Low. Shorty Low was one of the realest ones. You know what I mean? Like, cause he came to Finesse movie set and he was ready to work. However many days we needed a Shorty Low, he was ready to work. You know what I mean? But he was sick, you know, for Finesse. But the majority of these artists, man, they gonna be like, yo, bro, we gonna come 1 day and that's it. We ain't trying to do no 2, 3 days, 4 days, or no 10 hours in a day. You know what I mean? We're gonna come, bless you, hurry up, get your shot, nigga, and we out. Now, if you want anything more than that, it's gonna cost you some money. So that's kind of like what I learned.
Now you guys have the sequel ready. How would you compare it to the original?
It's killing it. Part 2, you know, it's always hard to beat a part 1. And I was really skeptic about that. I was really scared that people will say, yo, they rushed part 2 and part 2. But man, part 2 is killing part 1. And part 1 is a classic. That's a big thing to say. But for me, part 2, the story-wise, where we went with the story, how we touched on, you know, police brutality. It's a lot of mental notes in part 2 that you'll be able to pick up and be like, wow, they had some gems in part 2. Not to mention it's shot better. Excuse me, the sound is much better. Zay, again, my brother did his thing in part 2. You know what I mean? Like part 1 was Zay's first movie, so he was kind of like, you know, he was, you know, whatever. But he was good, but I had to write it in his comfort zone to make him really project to the audience. Part 2 was not even in his comfort zone. You know what I mean? It was something totally different for Zay. I mean, he pulling out guns in part 2. You know what I mean? He's angry in part 2. You know, his character develops and changes in part 2. So, you know, that was a good thing. You know what I mean? So you'll see all of that when you check it out.
Does the sequel pick off where the first one left off?
Somewhat, yeah. What it does is, it's like maybe like in the story, it's a pause for maybe like 2 years, 3 years that we kind of talk about. Yeah, but it definitely picks up from there.
Will it be a third?
Me and Zay talked about that. It depends, man. It really depends. I think Birds of a Feather is a cult. It's a cult classic. You know what I mean? So it's just really if what the fans want it. If the fans want a part 3, it'll be a part 10. You know what I mean? If the fans want it, because I think Birds of a Feather is almost like a tutorial. Part 1 showed you how you get it and the sacrifices that you had to do to get it. Part 2 shows you once you get it, how do you keep it, how do you maintain it, and also battling the demons and battling the people, and you know, just the perception of what people think music business is, and it's totally different. So that's what Part 2 is about. So hopefully, you know, you'll see more.
All right. Are there any plans to do any more films?
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's what I'm gonna stay doing. You know, along with managing Zay, along with my music career, I'll be making movies. You know, that's where I started in. I'm gonna stay doing that. The next film is either I can't get too much about it, but it's either gonna be a movie about a brother by the name of Kwame Kilpatrick. For people that can Google that. I've been talking to Kwame. He's a mayor. He's an ex-mayor out of Detroit. He's doing 30 years right now for money laundering, simple stuff. They railroaded him. Good brother. We're developing that story right now with his family. And then the next film is a movie called Race. It's real powerful, man. Real powerful race-related film. I'm jumping into more serious substance. You know, I've done street movies. I've done musical movies all my career. It's time for me to challenge myself. You know what I mean? All those other movies I can do with my eyes closed. It's time for me to challenge myself and have films with substance, have films with real life issues that's just not directed to young urban people, you know what I mean, or young black culture. It's time to make movies for white people, black people, Chinese people, older people, something that everybody can relate to. I believe God is calling my spirit for that, because I can battle the people that did the Black Panthers and the people that did all of those movies. I can do those movies, but I gotta be able to challenge myself and get out of the rim of thinking about right here, you know, rap and, you know, streets and drugs and stuff like that. So it's time I'm gonna get out of that for a minute. Next few years, I'm gonna be writing some real powerful films. It's gonna take a little longer to do, but I believe in the end, it's gonna be much better.